Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel. Rajkumar. Here are today's headlines. Internal turmoil deepens within the opposition People's National Movement. People's National Mistake. Mighty Morphin, Ghanaian Coalpot Bicycle, no harm, no macaroni pie, PNM. As executive resignations trigger crisis meetings and former Minister Hazel Manning steps forward for local leadership. Madam, stay in retirement now, ma'am. Oh gosh, boy. Wait, boy. Why these people and them just don't like to give up? Telling you we need age limits, 60 years maximum. No one should be in politics after 60 years of age. In Tobago, police launched an investigation into the death of 45-year-old Ravi Silochan after his body was recovered off Pigeon Point Beach. Condolences to the family, of course. I saw a video and I am wondering why no one tried to intervene. The man was definitely looking intoxicated while he was still alive on the beach. Guyana unveiled a comprehensive 15-part strategy to transform its gold sector into a global market hub by 2030. A U.S. Southern Command releases footage of a lethal strike against an alleged narco vessel in the Eastern Pacific. I hope that they really do have credible intelligence and credible evidence to verify their claims. As long as it's credible, I fully support it. If it's just rumors are spreading like here in Trinidad and Tobago, then my goodness, at some point in time in the future, individuals may end up being held accountable for some very serious crimes. Details in the news up next. Internal conflicts within the People's National Movement San Fernando East constituency have intensified following a wave of resignations from its executive committee. Somehow I feel Brian Manning is right, Yeah, you see, anytime the PNM going against somebody, usually because they're standing up for something right, Tension surfaced after Member of Parliament Brian Manning raised internal questions regarding executive operations, which prompted an official inquiry. And they vexed about that. The man doing the right thing, And they vexed about that. In response, the executive issued a public statement critical of the MP, defying warnings against public friction from party chairman Marvin Gonzalez by the macaroni pie man himself. The fallout led to the departure of 4 key officials, including the constituency's vice chairman, while party leadership continues crisis meetings with the executive to restore stability. Yeah, I heard they even had a press conference yesterday. Anyhow, amid the internal rift, former Education Minister Hazel Manning, Madam, stay in retirement. Please stay out of the people bacchanal, ma'am. Stay out of the people bacchanal. Widow of the late Prime Minister Patrick Manning. I didn't like how he governed the nation, but he was a very charismatic, likable man. He's annoying, of course, when he say, we beat him in the East, we beat him in the West, we beat him in the North, we beat them in the South. Oh, gosh, he was a very arrogant man too, but he was a very charismatic person. Nevertheless, somebody that was still likable. So Prime Minister Patrick Manning and mother of current MP Brian Manning, a man that really doesn't have much of his father's qualities, charismatic qualities, really isn't. He isn't another Manning in that kind of sense. Announced her intention to run for constituency chair in the upcoming elections. Hazel Manning announced that she's going to run for constituency chair in the upcoming elections. Oh gosh, madam, stay in retirement and relax yourself. Support your son. Her decision has garnered broad encouragement across local party groups and prominent figures within the PNM. All I realize the kind of nonsense these elders in the UNC doing to the party. I used to love it when the elders win the political parties. But I realize now that as they get older, they tend to become very obsessed with power. And they end up totally destroying their own parties. So you know what? Stay out of the politics after the age of 60, please. Party stalwarts and community representatives view her long-standing involvement and experience as a stabilizing force capable of unifying the local executive and moving past the recent turmoil. No! You can do that from the outside, Madam Hazel Manning. Don't get back into that politics, please. The PNM National Executive has stepped in to manage the dispute, with leadership reiterating its commitment to resolving the issues alongside the MP and constituency representatives. While top party officials maintain that internal mechanisms are actively addressing the situation, party members expect the upcoming constituency election to serve as the definitive path forward, allowing the local membership to vote on its leadership. My response, Madam Breakfasts. Oh, they can remember that. Younger generation wouldn't remember that, right? But the older generations, like myself, I was born in the 1980s, I was born in 1982, I can remember it clearly. Breakfasts, right? Madam Breakfasts is returning to politics. This will be quite interesting. The future Prime Minister Manning, maybe. And we're not talking about Brian. And next thing it is, this woman is aspiring to become the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Because we know Penny's a waste of time. Penny can't lead nothing. Penny can't lead nothing. Penny, most likely, I doubt she'll be leader of the PNM for 2030. In 2030. Yeah, he lead out. So. Anyhow, one thing I know for sure, the Rowley faction will be furious. I'm sure about that. The Rowley faction does not like the Manning faction. They just don't. It's just that unlike the UNC, usually you don't see these kind of internal disputes within the PNM. But things are changing. Things are definitely changing. Police are investigating the death of 45-year-old Ravi Silochan. Young man, you know. Young man, that's basically my age, 1 year older than me. A father of four whose body was retrieved from the water at Pigeon Point Beach around midday on Sunday after lifeguards spotted him floating nearby, totally destroying the lives of those kids. You know. They will never forget that. They will never forget that. Where were his friends and his family? Where was the person that was recording him? Seeing this man highly intoxicated, and yet you all just allow this man to go into the water. There's nothing about being a brother's keeper nowadays, boy. Am I not my brother's keeper? Silochan, who lived on Store Bay Local Road with his former in-laws despite a recent court hearing regarding a marital separation and custody of his young children, had been last seen heavily intoxicated while socializing at No Man's Land on Saturday. His former mother-in-law, Pamela Kissoon, described him as a kind, quiet, and deeply respectful person who was devoted to his family, noting that while his long-standing struggles with alcohol contributed to his separation, yes, a kind of a successful marriage with someone who's an alcoholic in the relationship, it just won't work out for the couple, and definitely it's not good for the good environment for the kids either. The family continued to host and support him during his financial difficulties. Condolences, of course, to the family, including his former wife and definitely his kids. They are going to grieve about that for the rest of their lives. That is not something that you ever get over. Especially when your parent dies at a young age. That is something you never, ever, ever get over. You never accept it, no matter how much time passes.
Weather report for Trinidad and Tobago on Tuesday, August 25, 2026. The general outlook for Tuesday, August 25, 2026 indicates a mix of sunshine, cloudy spells, and scattered thunderstorms across Trinidad and Tobago. While the morning and evening periods will remain mostly fair to partly cloudy, hourly projections point to a high chance of daytime showers and localized thunderstorms starting mid-morning through early afternoon. Temperatures are expected to reach a high of 30 degrees Celsius to 31 degrees Celsius, which will feel closer to 34 degrees Celsius due to high humidity, before dropping to a low of 24 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius at night. Gentle easterly winds will track around 7 to 11 miles per hour throughout the day. There is a higher likelihood of localized downpours between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m., meaning you should be prepared for potential gusty winds or street flooding during heavy showers. Conditions are expected to clear up nicely by late afternoon, leading to a generally fair and settled night. Seas will remain slight to moderate with waves peaking around 1.0 to 1.5 meters in open waters and below 1.0 meter in sheltered areas. For mariners and beachgoers in Port of Spain, the first high tide will occur at 1:30 a.m. followed by a low tide at 8:44 a.m. The second high tide of the day will arrive at 3:04 p.m. before falling to the final low tide at 8:44 p.m. Sunrise is scheduled for 5:56 a.m. and sunset will be at 6:19 p.m.
Regional news now. The Guyanese government has launched a 15-part strategy aimed at turning the country into a global gold and jewelry hub by 2030 through modernizing operations, boosting exports, and strengthening its international market presence. You see, they have gold, they have the energy industry, oil, and they have a president who is working really hard to make his nation prosper and his people prosper. Guyana is heading in the right direction. I'm so proud of them. Speaking on the Starting Point podcast, Dominic Gaskin, technical consultant at the Ministry of Natural Resources, explained that the initiative focuses on transitioning the industry toward a tech-driven model while enforcing strict consumer standards and non-cash payment options. I don't like the cashless society thing, though. I don't like that. As part of this effort, the government introduced the El Dorado Reimagined national brand, managed by the Guyana Gold Board, which gives licensed jewelers marketing support to reach global buyers while promoting ethically sourced materials. Ultimately, the strategy aims to drive investment, training, and production over the next few years, positioning Guyana's gold industry with the same level of international recognition as its oil and gas sector, once again, thanks to the Irfan Ali administration. I wonder if we have any gold mines here in Trinidad and Tobago. We have a lot of gold diggers, though. International news now. U.S. Southern Command released unclassified footage showing a lethal strike on a low-profile vessel moving through known drug trafficking corridors in the Eastern Pacific. But I hope that isn't all the intelligence they have, because next thing is just a normal person decides to use that same route. Let's just hope. I support it as long as they have evidence to prove that these individuals are definitely narco-terrorists. I fully support what they are doing, though. Defense officials confirmed that 2 alleged narco-terrorists were killed in the targeted engagement after intelligence linked the craft to active smuggling operations. Command leadership cited the action as a direct warning to drug cartels, framing the maneuver as part of an aggressive strategy to dismantle illicit networks in the regional waters. I wonder what the PNM people and other tribal people have to say about this ongoing attack against narco-terrorists. You remember they were saying it was all because of Venezuela? Well, no, Venezuela and America's relationship is getting better, it's improving. So then what's the reason? It seems as though the Trump administration really wants to go after these narco-terrorists. And that's good. That's a good thing. Colombian President Abelardo de la Espriella announced that his government has reauthorized coal exports to Israel, reversing restrictions imposed under the previous administration, most likely a radical leftist administration, unless you had it was a QAnon far-right Russian Orthodox. I highly doubt so. Most likely this is the Conservative Party in Colombia. I again authorized the export of coal to Israel, putting an end to past ideological vetoes and restrictions that harmed our economy, affected legal certainty, and eroded international trust, he wrote on X. Well done, sir. The move was among several measures De La Espriella highlighted from his first 15 days in office, which he said are aimed at reducing bureaucracy, strengthening trade and investment, and imposing greater fiscal discipline. That is wonderful news. And when you bless Israel, God will bless you and bless your nation as well. And this is why if Trinidad continues to align themselves with Israel and draw closer to Israel, we as well will be blessed.
Love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you, so you may be children of your Father. He gives sun and rain to all.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.